Hi, my name's Tom. I was sent this next product in exchange for an honest review, and it's a perfect timing because it's starting to get cold outside and my feet are always cold. I have to go ahead and walk through slush and snow and just wintry weather all the time. I live in an area where I do get cold weather, I do get snow, but this new product, this will go ahead and keep my feet and your feet warm all winter long. They are you ready for it? Electric socks. Yes, you heard me correctly. These are actually electric heating socks. They keep your feet warm in the same way that an electric blanket will keep your entire body warm on your bed. But the one big difference is these things are battery powered. Yeah, I know. It's like something out of the future, but it's actually real. So here's the sock itself. They come in different sizes. I got an extra large. They're nice big long socks. They're typical kind of a thick winter sock, so that's actually, even if you're not using the heating element in it, the super duper electric battery powered, it's actually still a nice sock. It's a nice warm sock. But then here at the very top of the sock, up above the ankle, there's a little pocket. I'm going to show you how this whole thing works. And that little pocket has a little USB cord in it, and it holds on to and it connects to a battery. Check that out. I'm going to go ahead and unplug the battery here and just show you something. It's a nice thin little battery. It's like a little hotel bar of soap. That's kind of how the size of it is, nice and small. You can go ahead and charge this battery up. Now each sock has their own battery in it, and then you even get a battery charger with the pair of socks. So the battery charger itself actually has two little ports. Each one goes into one of the batteries and it goes into a wall, so you can go ahead and plug it in and charge up both sock batteries at the same time. You can even see how much the batteries are charged up. You just press a little button, see those little LED lights. When you have 4 little LED lights, it's fully charged. I've been using these socks for a little bit, so I only have 3, but that's fine. Once it's actually charged up, the way you do it is you actually pull a little plastic knob off of this little USB-C connector, you plug it into the battery itself, and then you put that battery into a little pocket on the side of the sock. That's where they are. That's where the battery gets held. I push the whole thing in, and I even have a little snap on top to kind of keep the whole thing from coming out of the sock. So I'm just going to just snap that in there. There we go. So here's the sock with the battery in it. Right now it's turned off. It's turned off because I have no LED light right here. So there's a couple ways to actually control these socks. Right now there's no LED light. I'm gonna go ahead and press it on, hold it down for a second. There we go. That's low setting. That's medium setting. That's high setting. And then if you're really in a hurry, if your feet are just really, really ice cold, or you're out in a really, really cold weather, you can press this special thing called quick heat, and what that'll do is it'll crank it up to the highest heat possible for between 2 and 5 minutes, and it'll go ahead and get your sock nice and warm, and then it'll pop back down to high heat after that time period. Now, the high is really, really, really pretty hot. The medium and the low are kind of much more comfortable for me. You want to be careful. If your feet get too hot, you obviously want to turn them down. You can also control these things with an actual app on your smartphone. It's iPhone and Android compatible. You'll have to use Bluetooth to go ahead and connect to these things, but it's really pretty amazing the way it works. There's a little instruction manual that kind of walks you through everything. It's got a little QR code for the app itself. The app itself will do all sorts of clever things. You first have to connect each sock, and it kind of walks you through that, the connection process. But then once your app is connected, you can actually turn them on, you can turn them off, you can control the heat of each sock, you can change the settings of each sock, you can even change the timing of whether you want them to go on for like 20 minutes and then maybe turn themselves off automatically. Once your feet are nice and warm, they work great. It'll go ahead and come up and maybe it'll turn itself off or turn itself low so that you can go ahead and not get overheated. And here's what these socks look like when they're on. You can see they actually have some nice little styling to them. They're kind of gray and they have some black with some stripes on them. So right now both my socks are on, but only one sock is actually turned on heat-wise. I'm gonna kind of pull over here, and you can see this one's on quick heat, and my piggies down here are getting nice and warm. Now most of the heat actually comes from the toes down to about mid-foot here. So this is where the real heat comes in. But if you're in a boot or something, it actually does warm up the whole foot because your heat is obviously encased in the boot, and you'll be fine. Heavy shoes, same thing. It gets nice and warm, but most of the heating elements are actually here in the front of the sock. This sock is actually not turned on right now, and I want you to see that even when they're not turned on, they're still comfy, warm socks. They are actually thick, they're big, they still fit in a boot or a shoe. And then you see you put the battery pack on the outside here. And I also want you to see they do go fairly far up the calf because they are winter socks. Here, if I flip the socks around a little bit, I've been playing around with them, and I just wanted to go ahead and test the temperature. And the sock that's been on high for a little while is definitely very warm, especially even on the outside. It's about 120 or so, depending upon where I hit on it. And then the other sock that's just been off for about 10-15 minutes has kind of cooled back down to about 80 or high 70s. And I'm just kind of walking around the house in a shoe. So yeah. So a couple other quick things. You can actually wash these socks if you want to. It actually comes with a little laundry bag that you can put your socks into. And then obviously you want to go ahead and take the battery out of them. And when you take the battery out of them, you also have on your little USB port here, you have a little plastic plug that you can put over it to kind of protect it from getting any water in there. They actually recommend hand washing, but you can use this laundry bag. You can use it in an actual washing machine, probably on a gentle cycle just to be sure, but you want to make sure that you get the battery out of there, and the electronics should be fine in a gentle wash. I've had a chance to use these for about 5 hours on a cold day. My daughter went horseback riding. It was one of the coldest days of the year so far. It was only about 30 degrees outside. I put these things on. I went out. I had my great big boots, kind of my, not like snow boots, more work boots, and my feet were incredibly warm. I actually stayed away from the high setting. It was just too much for me, but the medium setting worked great. I would switch back and forth between medium and low from time to time, because as your foot gets warm, it actually keeps the heat in your boot for a little while. So I was actually found myself turning them on, turning them off, and they lasted fine. The battery will last up to 10 hours if you keep it on low. So depending upon what level you're using and how much you're using it, it will actually affect how long the battery lasts, but it will last a good long time. So probably more time than you're gonna be out in the cold. Overall, these are really pretty cool. They do keep your feet warm. They're pretty practical. They're clever. I love the app. I like playing with the app, and I can tell people, hey, my socks are actually controlled by an app. The heat works really well. The battery packs seem to be pretty cool. I've charged them up all the way. It didn't take that long. They actually came to me fairly charged, so it didn't take that long. But they've lasted a good long time, and they're not heavy. They're relatively light. Like this is like a heavy sock is what it really comes down to. And the battery pack, again, is like no bigger than a bar of soap, probably no heavier than a bar of soap either. But you'll see it's actually a really, really nice. The socks themselves are soft and thick, and even without the heat, I might just use these socks. That's the kind of nice thing that you can turn them on for a little bit, you kind of get that heat in there, you turn it off, and that sock and your boot will actually keep that warmth in there. So overall, if your feet get cold, whether you're outside doing like sports stuff or working in the cold, or just going on like looking for Christmas trees or skiing or any kind of thing outside, or maybe you're just hanging around the house and your feet get cold just sitting in the office at the computer all day. These sorts of things are great. They will go ahead and keep your feet warm. They will be amazing. And you just turn them on for a little bit, you get your feet warm, turn them off, and you just ride the warmth out. They make great gifts as well. I've told a couple of people about them, and they're all just dying to get themselves a pair of these socks. So I will be picking up some extra pairs for Christmas gifts. So, but don't tell my wife. Her feet are always cold. But yeah, I really do highly recommend these. They're really pretty cool. Yeah, heated socks, highly recommended.